Jerul says, okay, so he said BMX progress. I said elaborate. He said, how many tricks will you learn a year? It it really depends on, a bunch of different things. Like, do you have people to ride with? Do you have a good skate park? Does your skate park have everything? Does it have banks, quarters, box jumps, spines, like everything like that? How much are you going to ride? There's no answer to this, because everyone's different. I've had years where I learned a lot, and years where I didn't learn as much. I've seen some guys at like Woodward, right? Woodward locals that progress at a stupid level. And it's because they have the facilities, they have the friends to ride with. And it's like, it really depends where you're at, what you're working on. But what I'm going to tell you, here's this, I'm going to share my screen real quick. Here we go. You guys can see this. Yeah. This is the Dunning-Kruger effect. And this is a really interesting concept because it's like in anything you're actually trying to learn, this has been true for me. And so basically, this line is how confident you are at something. Can you guys see my mouse? Oh, there we go. This line's how confident you are at something, and this is how competent, how good you are at something. Okay. And so what usually happens, this happens in BMX all the time, is this is a very steep learning curve, right? This beginning part, it takes a while to understand the fundamentals, and it's a very steep curve, right? Like being able from the point you get on the bike to the point you can bar spin, you have to be able to bunny hop very well. You have to be able to set up. You have to be comfortable taking your hands off. And so there's so many things that tie into that. Now, once you're there, once you have some of that foundation, like once you can bar spin, you can learn a 360 really fast. You can learn a tail whip. You can learn a 360 bar spin, a 180 bar spin. You could probably learn a flip. Like it takes going up a really steep learning curve to get to a certain level where you can actually start progressing pretty fast. So if you're just starting out, the progression's always really slow. But then you're going to hit a point where it speeds up. Okay. And so anyway, back to this, basically right away, we think that we're really good at something, and you're going to start learning, like maybe you learn bunny hops and you're like, BMX is easy. I'm going to learn so many tricks. And then you get down here and you're like, oh God, there is so much more to know about this sport. And it's really discouraging. And in BMX and in everything, this is where people quit. And you'll see this is right at the average point. So we start a new task, we try it, we're really good at it, and then we realize we're actually not that good at it. So like I compare that to starting learning bunny hops, learning 180s, and then looking at Logan Martin. Logan Martin's over here with flip quad whips, and you're like, okay, I'm probably never going to get there, right? And so a lot of people get discouraged and they quit. Very few people stick through the shit, David Goggins would call it, the suffering, like where you're actually not doing as good as you want to. So very few people stick through that. And the few that do end up here. Like I've been riding for 13 years, and I'd say I'm like only right here, it's very, very hard to get there. And you'll also notice this max peak here at an expert is lower than where you thought you were. Okay. And you'll also notice the time from here to this max peak is like very short compared to the time from here to here. And that's because mastering something takes a whole lot of work. It's like the way I would look at it is like leveling up on a video game, right? Your first 5 levels, pretty easy to get. First 10, pretty easy. But your last 5 is the hardest. You're going to spend more time on the last 5 than you spent on the whole 35 before that, or something like that. And BMX life, it's all the same there. So it's hard to say how many tricks you're going to learn per year because there's a lot that goes into it. Are you going to get discouraged after a while? Are you going to ride every day? Are you going to get hurt? Are you going to still ride when you're hurt? Are you going to be, there's just a bajillion things. So that's really hard to tell.